I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert near them on the sand. Half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that it sculped there well those passions red, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things. The hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my work, you mighty in despair." Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. This poem, Ozymandias by Percy Shelley, in all of its depth, communicates a sense of irony regarding the uh, fleeting nature of power and the collapse of empires. As much as the king Ozymandias would wish that his statue, his uh, heritage, would last forever, of course it didn't. The statue remains, but the empire is gone. The statue does proclaim something about Ozymandias, but not what he wishes it might. No one despairs at the sight of the statue. Certainly, this traveler didn't. Uh, it's it's a remnant from an ancient time. This course, OT 583, Ancient Near Eastern History, Literature, and Culture, uh, is going to survey remnants of many past empires, many of which have left a mark, much like the statue did, but whose power is gone. We'll see that these ancient Near Eastern cultures have left a significant mark, an enduring mark, on the Hebrew Bible, on ancient Israel. Many of them have left an enduring mark on the contemporary world, which we'll also talk about. And yet, the power of these empires is long past. They're remnants. Um, this course is intended to be an introduction to ancient Near Eastern history, literature, and culture. As we'll come to find out, the ancient Near East is a geographic region whose history extends from about the 4th millennium BC until the mid 1st millennium BC, um, composed of a number of major and minor cultures whose histories are interwoven. Uh, the cultures that we'll talk about share a number of uh, linguistic, religious, cultural, and historic relationships, all of which, or many of which, impacted the history of ancient Israel and the formation of the Hebrew Bible. And we'll find that there are many linguistic and literary connections between the ancient Near East and ancient Israel, historical connections, cultural connections, religious connections, and many others. Um, what I want to do in these next few minutes is give you an overview of this course. As I mentioned, we're studying ancient Near Eastern history, literature, and culture, as well as geography. Geography will be an important part. I will include a number of maps throughout the course to help you orient yourself to where the peoples and places that we're describing are located or were located. We're going to cover ancient Near Eastern history from the 4th to the 1st millennia BC. We're going to look at the world behind the text, that is, the world behind the Hebrew Bible, the world around ancient Israel, the cultures that impacted ancient Israel, that preceded ancient Israel, and were contemporary to ancient Israel. We'll look at geographically from ancient Egypt in the southwest to Anatolia in the northwest, and to as far as Persia in the east, also encompassing Syria, Palestine or ancient Palestine, Canaan, Mesopotamia, and many other locations in between these touch points. We will also discuss archaeology, iconography, which is ancient art imagery, literature. Now, the structure of the course is as such. The first 2 weeks will cover the fourth to third millennia. The next 3 weeks will cover the second millennium. And so the first half of the course covers from the fourth to the second millennium. The bulk of the course, the last 5 weeks, will cover the first millennium. And that's the period of history in which most, well, this is really the period of history in which ancient Israel existed. And so this period of history had the most impact on ancient Israel and the Hebrew Bible. What are the goals of the course? Well, there are several. One is familiarity with the history, literature, culture, and geography of the ancient Near East. Another goal of the course is to assist you in developing a methodology of comparing ancient Near Eastern and biblical texts. Third, to be able to articulate similarities and differences between the ancient world and our own. As students of the Bible and ancient Israel, one of our kind of fundamental beliefs is that the ancient text of the Hebrew Bible has contemporary application, has contemporary relevance. One of the fundamental driving points of this course is that ancient Near Eastern history, literature, and culture has contemporary relevance. Many of the things that we see even in the modern Middle East today are in many ways remnants of things that happened thousands of years ago. And so I hope that throughout the course you keep these goals of the course in mind, and that as you reflect on the course and the course is done, you will have seen that we've accomplished each of these course goals. Now, in terms of the text, there are 3 primary course texts and a fourth that is recommended, but which will also be available, at least sections of it, via e-reserves. So the course texts include 2 by Mark van der Meurer. And so the first course text is A History of the Ancient Near East, 3rd edition. The second course text by Mark van der Meurer is A History of Ancient Egypt, and there's only 1 edition of this one. Both are similarly written. They're really, in many ways, companion volumes, providing a comprehensive and very readable history of the ancient Near East. The second text, or the third text, I should say, that which is required, is Hidden Riches by Dr. Christopher B. Hayes, who's also one of the full-time professors here at Fuller. This textbook provides a number of comparative readings, giving you biblical and ancient Near Eastern readings side by side, with commentary and introduction of those readings, as well as some discussion and then questions to guide your reading. And then the fourth text, which is highly recommended, is A History of Ancient Israel and Judah by J. Maxwell Miller and John Hayes, both prominent biblical scholars of a previous generation. It's the second edition, which I recommend, in which the selection from which we'll read is taken. It's a very balanced and fair history of ancient Israel, including encompassing and balancing the various witnesses or sources from which one can develop a history of ancient Israel. So not only the biblical text, but also archaeology and extra biblical sources. So I hope that you have those texts as the course begins, and read through those texts and take notes. In terms of the assignments, of course, there are a number of assignments which you will be held responsible for throughout the course. One of those, and primarily in this course, is the reading. This is a very reading-centric or reading-heavy course. This requires you to spend significant time in the textbooks, taking notes, understanding the places, the significant people, the significant dates in which certain things happened. Of course, you're not going to be able to remember everything. It will be helpful if you take notes on the reading and summarize each chapter or each section in your own words. That's one of the best ways of learning. In addition to the reading, there will also be online material, for example, videos. Now the videos, most of the videos, I will link to a program called PlayPosit. It's an online application, which allows me to embed questions into the videos. This helps to keep you accountable and allows me to see who is accessing the videos for how long. And I hope that the embedded questions help you to remember significant topics in the videos and also keep your interest. The third assignment, or the third aspect of the course, are online discussions. And of course, these are weekly, and each student will be assigned to a particular discussion group, which you'll remain in throughout the course. Now, those of you who have had me as an instructor before know that I do online discussions a bit differently, and I have a video posted on the main course page explaining the flow of the discussions. But primarily, or in an overview, the way I do discussions is as such. Your primary, each week there is a discussion prompt. I try to give some introduction to the questions, and then I focus on one, sometimes two, but usually one primary question to which you are responding. Now, your initial responses are due Thursday basically by midnight. And you'll write 250 to 300 words in response to the prompt. Now, the goal is to be as clear and concise as possible, but also as thorough as you can be in 250 to 300 words. I expect you to engage the readings. I expect you to engage the prompt directly and very specifically, incorporating as much as you possibly can from the readings and the other course material that apply to answering the prompt. Now, the discussion then ensues from Friday until the next Monday. So I give you a little bleed over into the next week, partly because I know that often many people take Sundays off, particularly Fuller students, and it would be unfair to stop the discussion Sunday evening and limit the amount of discussion. Now, I do also expect that you pace your responses out, and so post a response on Friday, wait to get some feedback or a response from somebody else, and then post another response Saturday or Sunday, possibly as late as Monday. The other thing about the discussions is that while everybody provides a primary response, you're not free to respond to anybody in your group. In fact, each week I designate a student under which everyone's discussion will continue. And then I'll make a little more sense as you watch the other video, as well as engage in the discussions. Now, the fourth assignment are the comparative assignments. And 7 out of the 10 weeks, you will submit a comparative assignment based on the Hays textbook or other assignments that I provide. And what these will do is will help you to learn the method of comparative studies and give you the opportunity to take biblical texts and put them alongside of and in discussion with texts from the ancient Near East, or even biblical texts in iconography or ancient art imagery from the ancient Near East. You'll find the instructions on the course page. You will only do the assignment that's due that week. Don't submit assignments late, but you do have the option of choosing which 7 weeks you will submit those. Now, I will warn you that there is no comparative assignment due week 10, so really you have weeks 1 through 9. Week 10 is a different kind of assignment that you'll turn in. This is a 5-page paper focused on some aspect of the ancient Near East that you would like to put into discussion with the Bible. Not necessarily a text, it's not a comparative assignment, really a research paper, giving you the opportunity to research some aspect of ancient Near Eastern history, literature, and culture, and how that might impact one's reading of the Bible. And you can find further discussion and further details on the course webpage. And then finally, there will be a final exam. This will be an open book exam, and I will give you a number of prompts, and you will select between several of those. And so I'll post the study guide later in the course, probably around week 7, 8, or 9. I'm not sure yet which. And I'll give you kind of I'll give you basically the general gist of the questions that I'll ask. I won't ask all of them. And then from the ones that I do post, you won't have to respond to every single one of them. You'll respond to, let's say 3 of 5 or 4 of 6 or something like that. So I hope that gives you an introduction to the course, what the course is about, the history that this course covers, the type of assignments in the textbooks. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you over the next several weeks in the course. Thank you.